Roman Reigns' shocking return to Raw wasn't about spectacle. It was about legacy, power, and defiance. Emerging on crutches after a brutal assault that many thought sidelined him for good, the tribal chief silenced doubters by proving weakness can be turned into dominance. Flanked by Jimmy and Jey Uso, Roman launched a ruthless counterattack on Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed, reminding the WWE Universe that the Bloodline's empire stands unshaken. This wasn't just a comeback. It was a declaration that even injury cannot break the will of the most dominant champion of this era. The Bloodline is united, and dangerous again. Roman Reigns' shocking return, the tribal chief on crutches. The WWE Universe thrives on moments that feel larger than life. And few superstars in the modern era have mastered the art of creating unforgettable moments quite like Roman Reigns. The tribal chief has stood tall at the center of WWE's storytelling for years, elevating not only himself, but also those around him through sheer presence, charisma, and dominance. Yet even for someone who has built a reputation as nearly untouchable, the question of what's next always lingers in wrestling. Injuries, rivalries, shifting dynamics, all of it tests a performer's resilience. When Roman Reigns' music thundered through the Raw arena and the crowd caught sight of him hobbling on crutches, the world braced for a heartbreaking image. Many expected him to address his physical state, perhaps announcing a temporary retreat from action. Instead, what unfolded was the exact opposite. The tribal chief, battered but unbowed, returned not to admit weakness, but to weaponize it. By reuniting with the Usos and unleashing carnage on Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed, he made a statement that WWE fans will be talking about for years to come. No injury, no setback, and no enemy can dismantle the Bloodline. The weight of an injury. Injuries in wrestling often blur the line between reality and storytelling. Fans know that bodies break down under the grind of the ring, yet in the case of Roman Reigns, every detail is magnified. For years he has carried the company's top championship, fought some of the most grueling matches in modern WWE history, and shouldered the enormous responsibility of being the guy. When reports surfaced that he was hospitalized and facing time away, the wrestling world collectively held its breath. Behind the curtain, Roman's physical struggles were no secret. He wasn't moving at full capacity, and appearing in front of the WWE Universe on crutches seemed to confirm what everyone feared. The tribal chief's aura of invincibility had cracked. But Roman Reigns is not a man who allows vulnerability to define him. Instead, he used the optics of the injury to his advantage, turning crutches into weapons and pain into psychological warfare. It wasn't weakness on display, it was strategy. The music hits, an arena transformed. There's something almost primal about the moment Roman Reigns' theme song begins. From the deep bass to the crowd's roar, his entrances feel like seismic events. On this night, however, the anticipation carried a different energy. As soon as the first note dropped, the audience erupted, knowing they were about to witness something monumental. Emerging from the curtain, dressed in his signature black but supported by crutches, Reigns cut a striking figure. The juxtaposition was powerful. A warrior visibly wounded, yet eyes burning with fire. Flanking him were Jimmy and Jey Uso, walking not just as family but as enforcers, guardians of the dynasty. The symbolism was unmistakable. The Bloodline was whole again, and Roman was still at the helm, even if his body betrayed him. Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed caught off guard. In the ring stood Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed, two powerhouse athletes with reputations built on strength, speed, and sheer physicality. They had been thorns in the side of the Bloodline, representing a new wave of wrestlers eager to dethrone established legends. To them, Roman's injury signaled opportunity. Perhaps the era of dominance was ending, and perhaps they would be the ones to close the book on the Bloodline. But arrogance has felled many great warriors, and on this night, Breakker and Reed underestimated not just the tribal chief's resilience, but the bond of blood and loyalty between Reigns and the Usos. The attack, chaos unleashed. As Roman reached ringside, leaning on his crutches, the tension in the arena was electric. The fans chanted his name, unsure of whether he was there to speak or to act. Then it happened. The eruption of violence that only the Bloodline can orchestrate. Jimmy Uso struck first, delivering a superkick that sent Bronson staggering into the ropes. Almost simultaneously, Jey Uso launched himself into the air, connecting with a devastating splash on Bron Breakker. The ring shook under the impact, and the audience roared with disbelief. Then came the moment that defined the night. Roman Reigns, injured and leaning heavily on his crutches, suddenly lifted one into the air and swung it like a sword. The crack of metal against flesh echoed through the arena as he smashed it across Reed's back, then pivoted to strike Breakker across the ribs. Each swing was deliberate, each strike dripping with defiance. The tribal chief didn't just fight through pain, he turned it into fuel. The Bloodline restored. For months, fans speculated about cracks within the Bloodline's armor. Disagreements, betrayals, and losses had created an air of uncertainty. But on this night, all doubts were silenced. Roman Reigns, Jimmy Uso, and Jey Uso stood together in unison, their bond stronger than ever. Injuries, rivalries, and adversity had threatened to dismantle them, but unity prevailed. The reunion wasn't just symbolic, it was tactical. Together they reminded the WWE roster that while individuals can falter, the family always endures. Bron Breakker and Bronson were left battered and humiliated, their quest to dethrone the Bloodline shattered in front of a global audience. The psychology of vulnerability. As strength, Roman Reigns has always been more than just a physical competitor. His brilliance lies in how he manipulates perception, turning every weakness into an opportunity. By appearing on crutches, he flipped the narrative. What should have been a sign of weakness became a weapon of intimidation. For his enemies, the message was chilling. If Roman can inflict this level of damage while physically compromised, what chance do they stand when he's healthy? For his allies, it was inspiring. The tribal chief never stops fighting, no matter the odds. And for the WWE Universe, it was unforgettable theater, the kind of moment that cements legacies. Backstage reactions. Behind the curtain, the buzz was deafening. Seth Rollins, leader of his own faction and longtime rival of Roman Reigns, was reportedly both frustrated and impressed. On one hand, the return complicated his plans to establish dominance. On the other, he recognized the brilliance of Roman's strategy. Few performers could command the spotlight like that, and Seth knew it. Paul Heyman, ever the strategist, was seen pacing with a grin. Those close to him whispered that he had orchestrated parts of the comeback, pulling strings to ensure the tribal chief's return had maximum impact. Heyman's fingerprints are always on the Bloodline's greatest victories, and this was no exception. Other superstars, meanwhile, felt the weight of the moment. Some were excited to see Roman back, while others quietly lamented that their chances at main event opportunities had just diminished again. When Roman Reigns is around, the spotlight naturally bends toward him. Social media explosion. As soon as Roman's music hit, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok lit up like wildfire. Clips of him swinging the crutch circulated within minutes, accompanied by hashtags like #TribalChief, #BloodlineForever, and #RomanReturns. Memes flooded timelines, some praising his resilience, others mocking Breakker and Reed for falling victim to a man on crutches. Fans and wrestlers alike chimed in. Some hailed it as one of the greatest returns in Raw history. Others debated whether Roman was truly injured or if it was a masterful work of storytelling. Regardless of where they stood, everyone was talking about Roman Reigns, proving once again why he is the heartbeat of WWE's narrative. The road ahead. The attack on Breakker and Reed was not just a moment of revenge, it was the opening salvo of a larger war. With Seth Rollins and his faction looming in the background, tensions are bound to escalate. Roman's physical condition raises questions about his ability to compete in full-length matches, but his leadership ensures that the Bloodline's dominance won't waver. Expect Jimmy and Jey Uso to take on more active in-ring roles, carrying out Roman's vision while he orchestrates from the sidelines. But don't mistake his limited mobility for absence. If this return proved anything, it's that Roman Reigns doesn't need to be at 100% to dictate the course of WWE. The looming question is simple. Can anyone truly stop the Bloodline? Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed have already failed. Seth Rollins may be next in line, but even he must recognize the scale of the challenge. A legacy of resilience. Roman Reigns' story has always been about more than championships. From overcoming personal battles to carrying WWE through some of its most difficult years, he has consistently shown resilience. This return, crutches and all, adds another chapter to his legend. It showcased not only his physical toughness, but also his mental brilliance. For fans, it was a reminder of why Roman Reigns is revered and hated in equal measure. He embodies everything great about professional wrestling: drama, spectacle, strategy, and sheer willpower. Whether you cheer for him or boo him, you cannot ignore him. Conclusion: the Bloodline's fire reignited. Roman Reigns' return on crutches wasn't just about one night of chaos. It was a declaration. The tribal chief refuses to fade into the background, refuses to surrender his throne, and refuses to let injury dictate his destiny. By turning vulnerability into dominance, he once again proved why he is one of the most compelling figures in WWE history. The Bloodline is back, united and more dangerous than ever. Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed have been left in ruins, Seth Rollins is recalculating his plans, and the WWE Universe is buzzing with anticipation. What happens next is anyone's guess, but one thing is certain: the era of Roman Reigns is far from over.